G'day guys, my name's Tom Newton. I competed in the 2017 National Grand Final for the Class Clowns comedy competition, and today I am with Deep Dive doing some comedy from my house in isolation. So obviously this whole quarantine period is really hard for everyone, but recently I've started sympathizing a lot more for the couples out there, like the boyfriends and girlfriends who maybe can't see each other or have physical contact because of the quarantine. Just because I really understand what that's like to not be able to contact your significant other. Like I remember I had a girlfriend in year three, and her parents decided to take the family on holidays for 3 days, and that was a really hard time for me too. So like, I just wanted to put it out there that I fully understand exactly what these couples are going through, and yeah, it's a really hard time. So I am currently studying engineering at Monash University. So obviously now that's all online with kind of video learning and stuff. But I was living on campus for about a month before I had to come home. Not because of the virus or anything. I just ran out of clean undies. But I did have a really good time living on campus. I made heaps of friends, had heaps of fun, and I've started to really miss that. So what I've been doing is trying to recreate some of the things that we used to do on campus. So for example, I've taken up just the kind of typical campus diet. So now what I'm doing is I'm only eating 2-minute noodles, and I'm only drinking goon. So yeah, I've never felt worse, but it's good to remember. One thing I have been trying to do a little bit more during the quarantine period is exercise, because obviously it's important to stay fit. But I have been finding it hard to kind of come up with an exercise that works for me. Like for example, I did try jogging, and it turns out I'm just straight up too uncoordinated to jog. Because my knees knocked. I didn't know that was a thing. My knees knocked together, and I fall over. And it's just a bad time for everyone involved. My sister actually saw me jogging one time, and she said I looked like a baby giraffe, if that giraffe was blind and severely malnourished. So yeah, that one hurt. But I did find one really good form of exercise for if you're really trying to, tire yourself out. What I've just been doing is trying to have conversations with my parents, because it turns out that shit is exhausting. The main thing with this quarantine I've found though is that I just have so much time to think about random stuff. Like, for example, the other day I went down this rabbit hole of like recipes. Like, how did we discover how to cook really complicated stuff like cakes? Like, alright, hear me out. Let's say, for example, let's take cooked meat, alright? That's pretty simple, right? You're a caveman, you've just come back from like hunting in the wilderness, and you got a deer, and you're walking back to camp, and suddenly you trip over and you drop the deer on the fire, and everyone else in the camp is like, "Oh my god, you're such a dickhead! You just ruined that perfectly good raw deer that we were just about to eat." And then they're all like, "Oh, wait a second, that actually smells mad good. Let's eat it." Like bam, cooked meat. That's now a thing, right? Mashed potato. Okay, someone's walking along with a potato, and then they drop it, and then they accidentally stand on it, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're such a dickhead, you just stood on that perfectly good potato. That was our last one. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to eat now?" And then everyone's like, "Wait, that's actually pretty good." Bam, mashed potatoes a thing now, right? But how could we possibly have figured out how to cook something like a cake, right? Because no one's ever just going to be walking along with some eggs and flour and then trip over and accidentally preheat their oven to 200 degrees and mix the eggs and the flour with some butter and then bake it for however freaking long a cake takes to bake, and then bam, they've got a cake, and they're like, "Wow, what a coincidence. Glad we figured that out." And it's not just recipes either. Like, think about cow's milk. Okay? Like the other day, I was in the kitchen making myself some cereal, had my cereal, my milk, pouring it in the bowl, and I was just looking at the milk like, bro, it is mad weird that we drink this stuff, isn't it? Like, if you think about it, the milk of mammals is is made with all the right juices and chemicals to support the young babies of that species, right? So the only way that humans could have come into contact with drinking cow's milk was if some dude was just walking through a paddock and he looks over and he sees a little baby cow calf drinking from its mother's teat, right? And he just goes, yeah, I want some of that, right? And then just does it. Like, just goes and just drinks the milk. Like, I was in the kitchen pouring my milk, hit with this wave of like, this is freaking weird, dude. Like, why? Because then, right, think, following this train of thought, this man goes, drinks the milk of a cow, right? And then somehow manages to convince all his friends that that is a normal and good thing to do. Because we all do it. Like, the whole world, everyone, they drink milk, right? So way back when the first guy discovered it, must have somehow, people saw him and were like, what is that guy doing? And the guy's like, it's pretty good. And they were just like, fuck it, let's do it. And they all just drank the milk. Like, bro, it just trips me out. Like, it's kind of disgusting, but like, it is good. Like, milk is mad good. So it's kind of like, what are the odds that would happen? So that's just kind of one example of, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about in quarantine. But one of the other things I've been thinking about is something I saw online a while ago, just right as the start of this whole coronavirus thing was happening. And it was talking about how they think as a population, we've been reverting back to our childhood consciousness to deal with the terrible things that we're all experiencing, like the fires and the coronavirus and, like World War III almost happening and all that stuff. And you can see it happening in kind of, a lot of people have started playing Minecraft again. And, everyone started doing those Instagram challenges that we like all did when we were 12, right? And I feel like it is true for me too, because one of the things I've started doing in quarantine is like bottle flipping trick shots. So like, obviously, that was like a trend back in 2016. But I genuinely think I'm getting pretty good. Like, because I wanted to show you guys, I managed to catch one of my best trick shots. I managed to get it on camera. So I wanted to show you guys this video. Let's go. How freaking sick was that? Like, I genuinely reckon that's probably one of the best like trick shots I've hit so far in my career. I mean, obviously I haven't been doing it for very long, but like, I think I'm pretty talented. And I really think that like, there's probably hopefully some sort of career in that, like after quarantine, doing kind of bottle flip trick shots. I was kind of thinking maybe I could somehow combine trick shots and then some sort of like interpretive dance kind of section. Just if you guys have any suggestions, hit me up on my Instagram at speedy_Tommy and let me know what you think. I'll tell you what though, one of the better things about quarantine is the fact that my little sister, who's just turned 16, has not been allowed to get her learners. Like, I can't even express with words how much of a blessing that is to society, because she is a freaking psycho in a car. Like, I've driven with her like around our paddocks around our house and stuff, and she has this weird tendency when she gets scared or is afraid in the car, she'll just keep pushing on the accelerator. Like, I don't know. So obviously that's mad dangerous, and I am just generally so glad. The thing is, right, it's almost like when she's in the car, she's only got two possible speeds, and that's either not moving or let's go kill some innocent pedestrians. Like, it's just a constant ride or die situation whenever I'm in the car with her. So that is probably for me the main benefit of this whole quarantine thing that I can think of. And other than that, it kind of sucks. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch me try and do some comedy from my house. I have to admit, I have never done any sort of recorded comedy before, so I did find it a little strange not having a crowd to work off, but yeah, it was fine. I just kind of imagined that you guys were laughing at some of the things I was saying, and it was all good. But I have also been asked to talk a little bit about mental and physical well-being, which obviously is very important, particularly in this time that we're all going through. So I thought I'd start by just kind of showing you guys my setup for exercise that I actually do. Because for me, I feel like exercise is one of the most important things. If you can at least try and do like half an hour a day. I mean, obviously, I'm not any sort of medical professional, so don't take my advice too seriously. But just, it helps clear your mind. So, for example, here, I don't know if you guys can see, I've got this little bench press that I bought online. So I set that up. And then I didn't have any weights because all the exercise shops like fully sold out of all their gym equipment like instantly. So what I did was I found some metal plates and I cut some logs and made them into weight plates. So I just kind of lift some weights. I do sometimes go for jogs or try to. And yeah, in my opinion, that is it's just something to, one, it adds a bit of structure to your day. And two, I find it really helps clear your mind, especially when you've got kind of all this online school stuff. I find it can be very hard to switch off, and, take some time for yourself. Or conversely, it can be very hard to get motivated and do anything at all. And I find if you can work in a bit of exercise, it really helps kind of balance that out. And yeah, I've also been asked to talk a little bit about what comedy means to me and kind of how I started. So I originally, back when I was in year 9, I wanted to be an actor. So I was getting acting lessons from this lady in Albury, and she found an article in the newspaper for the Class Clowns comedy competition. And so I did the heats in Wodonga at the Cube, and I did all right. And then every year since then, while I was at school, you can only do it between years 9 and 12. I kept doing it every year. And in year 11, I made it to the national grand final, which was freaking awesome and crazy, and it was so much fun. And yeah, that's how and then since then I've just been doing some, I did a few paid gigs, I've done some open mic nights, and yeah, and I just think, for me, it's kind of important because I just think that when people are laughing either at you or with you, I don't think it matters. It's one of the best feelings you can get. Just making other people happy, and I also find that for me, that helps with respect to kind of my mental health. So if I've found I've had a really bad day or at school or at uni now, or even just socially, with my friends or with my family, the idea that I can always sit down and try and write a few jokes and make myself laugh when I'm writing them, and then potentially even make other people laugh if I ever perform those jokes. It's a good safety net, and for me, it's something I always enjoy doing. Just again, to kind of clear my head, just sit down and write some stuff that could be either really good or really bad. It genuinely doesn't matter. And that's the thing. So some of the jokes I had in here today are just things that I had just briefly written out when I thought of it. And some of them were good and some of them weren't. And that's the beauty of it. It just generally doesn't matter. And I mean, obviously that's easier said than done. When I'm not performing to a crowd, I can say whatever I want and I have no repercussions. But even when you are at a crowd, you say something that they don't find funny, it doesn't matter. It's just the whole thought of getting up there and just saying some stuff. I just love it. And the thing is, people are a lot less harsh than you'd think, because in my opinion, if you're not a superstar celebrity comedian, people just come and watch you because they admire the fact that you can get up there and do something that they are too scared to do. So whether or not you're funny, you're already on their side. So I think that's just my whole opinion on it. And just guys, if there's anyone struggling to find something that they're passionate about, or is even already thinking of giving comedy a go, you should definitely try it at least once, just because it's a cool thing to say. You can say, yeah, I've done stand-up comedy, and people are like, wow, that's so brave, and I admire you now. It's just really good, and that's what I just love it. yeah, so thank you for watching again, and I hope you guys all stay safe and healthy. And yeah, thank you very much.